So, y'all, welcome to the DaddyGate podcast with your host, Weezy, and
Chancellor, how's it going?
there you go. We'll get that down eventually as we progress.
Yeah, it'll sound better soon.
Oh yeah, man. Well, let's talk. Let's get right to it. Want to thank everyone first of all for tuning in. We had about 3,500 views on our first episode, and so if you are listening, please smash that motherfucking subscribe button, please. Yeah. So let's get to our main topic. Since we've got a lot to cover in a short hour, we just got through the Marvin Herbert podcast from last night.
The season one.
Season one, yeah, and it's still ongoing apparently. More to come.
Well, apparently, yes, there's going to be a second part if Shaun Attwood is... obviously, he's in the chat stirring things up, so he says that there's going to be a part 2, apparently.
Yeah. So, I mean... I'm not going to criticize Marvin. These are just my thoughts on the actual series. People have been asking what are my thoughts. So again, this is not a critique on Marvin himself. I'm not saying one thing negative or positive. I don't know the man. I haven't engaged with him, so this is just on the actual series. I think it's being drawn out quite a bit, to be honest with you, and I was kind of losing interest if I'm being 100% honest. However, towards the very end, when Marvin brings up, him snorting flour in front of him, I did find that question, somewhat a little bit more to my tune, if you will. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think much the same, really.
You still there?
Sorry, dude, I muted.
Oh, I was going to say jump cut.
Jump cut. Yeah, I think pretty much the same. It was very drawn out. The first episode promised the trailer promised so much, and the first episode it didn't deliver anything. I didn't even find it to be a cliffhanger. So it didn't go well. It was a lesson in what not to do on YouTube, I think, in some ways. Obviously, you had Shaun Attwood in the chat, in the comments, again, stirring things up. And what was he saying? He said, this is all a PR stunt. Marvin's in on it. Which, you don't really say that about people that you podcast with. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just let them have their podcast and leave. You don't interfere. You don't come in with your big wooden spoon and start saying, like, this is all a PR stunt and stuff like that. Him saying that made me think it was going to turn into something else. But it didn't really. They split it up into too many bits. They could have maybe split it into 2, although I wouldn't have agreed with that. But splitting it into, I think it was supposed to be 4, wasn't it? And then they decided just to get the parts 3 and 4 out together because of the outrage that it caused. So many people were very unhappy about it. But I did think that Marvin was asking Shaun questions that have not been asked of Shaun before in a public forum, on camera.
Right.
And although Shaun blew him off with the whole I can't talk about that for legal reasons BS.
Well, the video stopped. Did you notice that?
Yes, there was a cut.
Yeah, there was a cut. So what that cut entailed, I mean, it was obviously there. They tried to mix it in, and they did a pretty good job mixing it in, but there was obviously some kind of fuckery going on. Yeah,
it was. It wasn't nothing but the truth, as you would have expected, because of that cut. Definitely something was cut out. So I don't know, but Shaun didn't look to me to be too uncomfortable. Did you see the amount of comments though that were in the, especially that first one?
I want to say 80 to 90% were anti-Attwood. I mean, you did see a sprinkle of Attwood apologists, but by and large, man, maybe 90% would be a more realistic figure.
Yeah, it was difficult to find positive comments about him, and I've never seen any of these names before, but there was just like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Actually, I think there was a couple of thousand at the end of it.
It was glorious.
About saying, Shaun Attwood, and I think part of that is definitely our coverage that we've been doing as well. If I want to, toot our horns a little bit, I think our coverage has helped that, but also Darren G obviously coming out on the James English podcast once again, and as I say, eviscerating Shaun Attwood. That obviously got, I think, quite a lot of these comments on the Marvin podcast. There's a bit of crossover between Darren G and Marvin's audiences, so I think quite a lot of them were hearing about things for the first time and then coming over to Marvin's podcast to find out what is actually going on. You know, they thought this was where they were going to find out what was happening. The first they'd heard of it was Dad and G talking about him. They were like, what's going on there? Marvin's podcast coming up. Let's go over there. We'll get the information. It didn't really come to anything, but what's Marvin supposed to do when Shaun Attwood says, I can't talk about that for legal reasons? Just say, okay, well, the podcast is cancelled then. It's not going to happen, is it?
Well, the thing is that Shaun, on some of the comments last night, you know, during the live chat, he said that he is not under legal instruction. He can talk about it now. What the hell does that mean? You know, he does speak cryptically at times, so it's hard to know. You know, he just acting erratic as he usually does, but...
Well, I don't believe his lawyer told him not to snort flour. I'm sure he could have racked up a line of flour. He certainly snorted line after line after line on his so-called prank video, didn't he? So shouldn't really have been a problem for him.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting, and I guess it remains to be seen. I will tune in to episode 4.
Is there going to be an episode 4? I thought that was the end.
Shit, I'm confused now.
I think this was the last one because it was like 50 minutes long, and the last two had been like 25, 30.
Well, according to the message, looks like there may be a little bit more.
Maybe a 4th part. Okay, interesting. So we'll keep an eye out for that.
Keep an eye out, yeah. And yeah, I mean, this is just comes on the heel off of pretty much from last week's fake Geordie interview, which is still hot. I know you did a great video, man. Your fucking video was amazing. I know I thanked you privately, but I'll bring it out here, man. Your video editing skills, your script, your imagery to accompany the video was on point, man. You are a 100% certified YouTuber, man. So good job on that. You just passed the 6K mark and you're freaking rolling through the 7K. You'll be there pretty quick, man. So congratulations on that, my man.
Cheers, man. Much appreciated, dude. It was I enjoyed making that video, although I was up quite late making it. I've got other things that I need to be focusing on at the moment as well. So
how many cuts did it take you? You told me
it took 4 altogether. I had four scripts for that, and then I ended up the one I went with was the 4th one. So I had 3, and then I just scrapped them all. Wasn't happy with any of them, and just sort of freestyled it, and went with that at the end.
And it turned out amazing, man. That video was on point, concise, and I know you don't say much about it, so I'm gonna toot your damn horn, but people don't realize how much work goes into that. So as soon as I heard it, and I was able to appreciate every little thing that you did. That's why I thank you or give you your props in private, but I want everyone to know, so that I thought I'd do it here. But it's awesome breakdown to it. The whole fake Geordie crap, there's so much material, and we're gonna get into it now. And one of those things that fake Geordie brought up was that, and was giving Shaun advice, was you need to not engage with these trolls or they're gonna murder you. And Shaun's like, oh yeah, I agree. I stopped. But all through this last week during the Marvin Herbert podcast, he has been in the live chats. He just can't seem to understand what the hell's going on, man. For his own good.
Yeah, it's he said, that's it, I'm not engaging with trolls anymore. He said that on True Geordie or Fake Geordie, and he also said that on a live stream or a video with Ron Swanson. And it was quite telling because when Shaun was speaking to Ron Swanson, he was like, right, I'm no longer engaging with the trolls anymore, or Ron will give me a telling off. And then Ron was like, absolutely, you can't engage with trolls. But whilst he's saying that, Shaun Attwood saying, like, it tends to backfire. It keeps tending to backfire every time I engage. And he's so spot on with that. Like, mate, every time you engage, it just backfires because you've caught yourself up in a lie here. There's a lie. He's lying. He's either lying about Callie being vulnerable, or he's, like the GoFundMe is either for a vulnerable person, in which case he's taking advantage of a vulnerable person, or he hasn't taken advantage of a vulnerable person, but in that case, the GoFundMe is a lie. Does that make any sense? I'll maybe put subtitles on that. But you know what I mean? It's like he's caught himself. He's bound himself up with these two options.
He's pretty much in a catch-22 no matter how he plays it. And he's the only one responsible for that. He put himself in that position. And he's just reaping his rewards, man. Speaking of Callie, he did mention in that interview that Callie had a sick sense of humor. Brought that up to light. Just pretty twisted type of shit. And immediately I thought about the text messages through Skype. We did our first episode on that. Just these sick games that are trying to be played and thinking they're going to work. And, the whole catfishing nonsense. And Shaun right there, maybe that was one of his truths, the whole sick of humor on her regard. But there was various mentions to us, including, that we are part of the 4 dark forces. Maybe there's a little meme that goes with that. But how's it feel like
of Shaun Attwood's apocalypse?
Yeah, how's it feel like to be a member of that little exclusive club there?
Yeah, I mean, if he was being genuine about it, I'm sure I would think that was absolutely amazing. I'd print it off and stick it on my wall as a certificate. But he's obviously being completely disingenuous when he says these things. That was completely and utterly fake. He said Sonia Poulton, of all people, has uncovered. So Sonia Poulton has somehow, with her journalistic skills, uncovered some kind of conspiracy that goes to the top of government, or, like the shadowy underground of the secret services. She's gone and uncovered all that and found out that it's to bring down Shaun Attwood.
I just pictured your thumbnail of Sonia with the fucking thug life glasses, smoking a cigarette.
Do you know why I've got her smoking a cigarette in that, though?
What is that?
She wrote an article saying, when I was pregnant, I smoked 500 cigarettes. That's one of Sonia Poulton's articles.
All right.
So I thought that was absolutely... I just found that very, very funny. She's like... she's saying it's okay to smoke when you're pregnant, one or two, but then she's smoking she's saying I smoked 500, 500. It's like, okay, so you didn't actually cut down at all while you were pregnant then, Sonia. I'm not judging anyone, you know what I mean? But I just found it hilarious that she's supposed to be this, what would you say?
An advocate.
Nobody believes that she's well, that's very true. She's
Human
supposed to be an
rights.
advocate for child safety, and that's a very good point.
Yeah.
And she's smoking when she's pregnant. Cigarettes are very addicting, so whatever.
In that regard, I will judge. That's a pretty fucked up thing,
Yeah,
especially if you're on the other side.
More impulse control. She should have had more discipline about that if she's going to harp on about child safety.
Yeah.
But as I say, I'm going to try and steer clear a little bit of criticising her too harshly on that. I just found it amusing that she wrote an article about it. Like, for God's sake, Sonia, like, she's supposed to be this, and no one believes this, but she and Shaun Attwood claim that she is like a high end journalist probing the deepest, darkest depths of society and getting to the truth and all this, and I personally don't believe that's true, and I honestly think Sonia Poulton's a complete joke, and I think everyone that knows about Sonia Poulton knows that she's a complete joke. That's just my opinion. Just saying.
I agree with you.
But that article was just, come on, what kind of serious journalist writes that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you there, man. And the cowardice in not wanting to speak out, given your platform, which is not a giant platform to begin with, let's be honest, but it's bigger than ours, and hasn't really used that platform for, if you're so against what Shaun's doing, she hasn't really done it. And then according to Shaun, she's still communicating with him and letting him know that we are hired by these elites, if we're to believe him on that regard. If we're to believe what Shaun was saying, then she's probing us and has evidence that you and I are hired by these elites.
Which is such, like, who are they trying to, what's the term, dog whistle? Who are they trying to dog whistle to with that? People that are mired in conspiracy mindset, people that are not really thinking straight.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of the folks that sort of follow. It's funny how he's always using that to throw shit at us, when a lot of the people that are his hardcore apologists would fall in that fucking category, So it's kind of funny. It's kind of a double-edged sword he's playing there. So that will end up backfiring on him eventually as well. No question. So let's see. Moving on. fake Geordie, it was hard for me to be fully critical on him because I almost felt like if I criticize him too much, I'm kind of a hypocrite myself because I had Callie, giving her a platform. However, I will mention a few very distinct things. At times I thought fake Geordie was going to ask some real tough questions, but then he saved Shaun so many times in stopping him from hanging himself, essentially. And, when he did bring up the prank video, one funny thing that was never brought up were the pornographic, explicit pictures. Did you catch that?
Yeah, there was no mention of the nude photographs at all, and they're quite a big part of this. They're actually the part that woke up a lot of people, myself included, when we saw the photographs. That was when we were like, hold on a second, this definitely wasn't a prank. Because up until then, you're kind of like, it's so bizarre, that DaddyGate video. It's so weird and odd. You kind of like, with a lot of things with Shaun Attwood, you sort of pushed it, or I did anyway, pushed it to the side a little bit in my mind. The same with when he said Callie was staying at his house. I thought, well, that's kind of weird. And then just sort of brushed it off a little bit because he presents himself so well until you've seen what he's like and then you can't unsee it. But the wool wasn't fully off my eyes at that point. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't sort of think about it too much. I'm not exactly personally invested in Shaun Attwood or anything like that, so I wasn't, I was just watching his videos. But this True Geordie podcast, it missed out that the part of the story which woke up myself, and I know for a fact it's the part that woke up other people, which was when Callie was bent over the balcony. And you're like, wait a second, that's something else that's happening now. That's definitely taken in Shaun Attwood's house, and that is naked photographs of this supposedly vulnerable girl who's got no money. Remember, that's the main thing that I think people should start focusing on now. She had no money at this point, apparently, so she's dependent on Shaun Attwood, and he's got her posing for all these photographs. But it's not only the one over the balcony. There was photographs of her with her legs wide open, bent over his sofa, photographs of her on his bed with her legs open, hand on her pussy,
fiddling herself.
Yes, all these kinds of things. And just
I think a lot of people still don't even know about these pictures, unfortunately. So I think it's good that we hammer it home that these pictures do exist. You and I have seen them in all their glory.
We've seen them unedited. I've got a video where they're in as well. I think it's the DaddyGate for beginners, or it might be another one. It's the leaked photographs video. I'll try and put a link in the description if I remember. I always have to say that because I often forget. But you can see the photographs on that video,
and they're full on naked. But we have censored them because obviously we don't want YouTube to take them out. So we have had, naked. But they're full on. And so when you hear this prank excuse that it was just a prank for the trolls, it's complete garbage. And then you couple that with my thumbnail that I got for my Callie interview. I mean, if there was any question as to how far or how deep their relationship went, I mean, you can answer it with just those images themselves, man.
Yeah, and she said to you specifically that not only have they had sexual relations, that she cut his penis with her tooth, and that he calls her daughter in that relationship context. So it's a twisted bullshit going on. But
she also said that she justifies, or that Shaun justifies him claiming that he has not had a sexual relationship with her by simply saying, he in his mind he justifies it by being the receiver. You know what I'm saying? That's how he justifies it, and I think that's one of the few true things that she actually said.
Sounds like the kind of thing he would do, just justify something like that. It's fine, because he's probably thinking he's not an active participant if he's just getting it. But at the end of the day, if she's cut his penis with her tooth, then he's an active participant in this whole thing. And at the end of the day, she's got no money of her own, allegedly. So again, she doesn't have anywhere else to stay, and she doesn't have any money, so she's kind of in his house and doing all these, getting engaged sexually with him, even though supposedly the council asked him if he could house her, and then he's doing tongue in the mouth, God knows where else his tongue's been, the naked photographs, the putting her on an escort website, all these things, and he still to this day tries to justify it all as just a distasteful prank.
Right. Well, another little quick tidbit on it. They freaking Callie, or Shaun was talking about Callie being um a good person that he is fond of still. Even after the whole Callie interview. She's cool, she's got a sense of humor, awesome person, blah 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 blah. So you put that into the context of the Callie interview, of all the stuff she was saying and calling him a liar and all this stuff. It's like, okay, what the hell do we believe then? Because she's over here saying you're the worst human being and you're a piece of shit. And Shaun's over there saying, oh yeah, Callie's awesome. Callie. If you're an apologist, if you're a Shaun Attwood apologist, you really have to look into that. You know what I mean? If you think he's innocent in all this, you really have to take a microscope out and check it out deeper, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it seems like he's trying to just say, look, I mean, we get on fine, me and Callie, she's great. And did you hear what he said? I mean, this is just the most ridiculous thing ever. And it was one of the things that I wanted to put in my video, but I couldn't. It was like, he said, Callie is a genius in many ways, an actual genius. She's literally genius level IQ.
Okay.
And he said the prose that she writes, she says, you should see her poems and the prose that she writes. It's the most beautifully worded prose I've ever seen. And like, first of all, Shaun Attwood does not have the capacity to see beauty in art. That's something that is quite clear. He doesn't have the capacity to see that. He's a pure, I don't know if he's a psychopath, but he's certainly close anyway with the way that he comes across. So I certainly doubt that he thinks any poetry is beautiful. That is for sure. But second of all, saying that about Callie, man, it's absolute complete garbage. It's so obviously complete garbage. And True Geordie knew that. They were just like, okay. And they were going along with it, just like, imagine sitting across from someone and they've been involved in a sexual scandal with someone else, and then the person that you're sitting across from who was involved in that sexual scandal says, but she's a genius and the prose that she writes is the most beautiful prose I've ever seen. You're going to be sitting there thinking, what the hell is this? This isn't a normal interaction between people. It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
And True Geordie, you could tell they were going along with it because either out of politeness or out of having just been told by Shaun, look, I need to get all these things out, don't worry about it, just go along with what I say. But I got the impression they were just being polite, like, all right, okay.
Yeah, it almost seemed like they were genuinely uncomfortable at times, but
definitely.
You touched on it on your video, but real quick, I mean, True Geordie made a video about a month ago saying that they will no longer be on YouTube. They are now going to be focusing on streaming on Twitch. So for Shaun not to use his own gigantic channel to do this tribute, and if he wants to do it on his channel and then invite True Geordie onto his show, why that would have made the most sense. But for him to make this quote unquote tribute where he talks about his ass getting destroyed, on True Geordie on the YouTube channel, it does make you question. I mean, you have to wonder, what the hell was there? Some behind the scenes agreement? What the hell's going on? And that's not. These are legit questions that one has to ask. But real quick before we move on, you brought up the Shaun bringing up that Callie's some kind of a genius. That ties in to the messages that Callie's been leaving me on Skype, and we covered on episode 1. But when I would engage with Callie, I knew I was engaging with Callie at times, and I knew other times I was engaging with Shaun. And it was clear as day. And Shaun bringing up that she sometimes writes in these poetic prose, to me, it was a cryptic message to myself, because I had brought this up to Callie. I'm like, Callie, I know this is not you. This is Shaun that I'm speaking to right now.
Two different writing styles.
Yes. So to me, that was a cryptic message directed at me, because I brought that up to Callie, and Callie was like, "Oh, well, he has my account passwords to my YouTube, to my Skype, blah blah blah." Because when Callie writes to me, you know how she spells nothing? Nuffing. She's like, I'm doing nothing right now. And so I know when I'm clearly engaging. And then all of a sudden, I'll get into some semi-literate paragraphs, and I know that's Shaun. Because Shaun is not a fucking... professional
I hope this
himself.
message receives you well.
Yeah, like, my dearest Weezy, I have spoken with the great mind of Shaun, and he will
Yes.
be profoundly upset by you saying these things. Get the fuck
Yes.
out of here, man. And that's clearly Shaun. I know what I'm dealing with. So, real quick, man, I know I'm a little bit over the place, but it's similar to this. You may have seen me on the Marvin Herbert live chat putting hashtag Sinaloa.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about this in the live stream last night that I did, which was exquisite, by the way. Shaun, when I knew Shaun was messing with me on Skype, and he was telling me, and apparently it was Callie, but I knew it was Shaun telling me not to screw around with Karma Jane or KJ. Don't mess with her; she's unstable. Blah blah. And it was in well-written paragraphs. And I knew it was Shaun telling me to,
Mm-hmm.
and he was trying to make me feel guilty that this person is suicidal, blah, blah, blah. And so I go, you know what? I use one of his own lines against him that he has told me. I go, so Shaun, in my, when I had last engaged with him with his own account, his Shaun Attwood checkmark account, his last message to me was, I'm not going to focus on engaging with you guys, me, you, and the rest of the trolls. I'm going to spend my time focusing on making great content. Hashtag Sinaloa. He told that to me on my last engagement with him. So when he was using Callie's Skype account, on my last message to him, I repeated the same fucking thing to him. And, I'll send you the screenshot. I go, hey, I'm from here on forth, I will not address KJ. I'm just going to focus on making great content. Hashtag Sinaloa. And I never got a reply. It took like several days for me to get any kind of reply. And I used it because I knew it was Shaun. And so in the live chat with Marvin, that's exactly what I was doing. If anyone saw me putting hashtag Sinaloa watermelon slices, that was the whole reference to that whole fucking deal right there.
The thing is, I thought he said he wasn't going to engage, and he's in the live chat with Marvin engaging.
Well, Fake Geordie gave him great advice. Don't engage.
Don't engage. Don't
Oh,
listen.
yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to engage with these guys anymore. And all week long, what has he been doing? He's been showing up to the live stream talking shit,
He's never going to stop. He can't stop himself.
Yeah, he can't help himself. We're moving on pretty good thus far. Let's touch on Amber Huxley. So, for those that do not want to watch, I definitely do not. Well, I can't tell you what to do. The Fake Geordie podcast was just complete garbage. But if you just want to get to the parts where he's addressing DaddyGate and stuff relevant that we are covering today.
1 hour 25 minutes.
1 hour
if
and
you
25.
Want to check it out, yeah, that's when it starts.
Here's the caveat: at 1 hour and 25, that's when he gets into DaddyGate. And then after he stops talking about DaddyGate, he talks about getting his ass destroyed for a solid 10, 15 minutes. So
it felt like a lot longer than that.
Yeah,
to be honest.
it's a long
time. It was an awful long time.
And to me, it almost seemed like it was done on purpose to kind of distract people because he knew he was going to address Amber Huxley sooner or later. So it was kind of a way to maybe get people to tune off. But
he couldn't have said it thinking that people were going to be interested in hearing that. You know what I mean? Like people just sitting there listening, driving around in their car at work or something like that, just listening to that. You know what I mean? Come on.
It was just so fucking ridiculous, man.
Talking about getting rimmed and everything.
Yes, everything. The whole detail. It's no different from what he did on Brian Rose. And here he is on another large platform.
It was worse than Brian Rose.
Yeah, it's like he loves it, man. And this is the real, to me, that's the real Shaun Attwood right there. That anal play or whatever, that's the real one. The one that does Epstein videos, that's
the old man.
Yeah, it's a fake, completely different other person. But if you want to skip that and you don't want to, you're getting repulsed, go to 2 hours and 7 minutes. At 2 hours and 7 minutes, he addresses Amber Huxley, and some people may not have caught that. Even Amber, I don't think, caught it. And I had a reminder. Look, he's talking about us, our interview that we did.
Yeah,
and
he was.
Yeah, Amber went back and listened to it, and she's like, "Holy shit! Yeah, he's talking about So if you guys are interested, I'll put the link on the video description. It's the Amber Huxley live stream. Go to my live stream videos, put in, and you'll see Amber Huxley. And I have a timestamp for when she comes in. But she is the Patreon donor that Shaun was talking about. And we've got the email, right? She wanted to clarify a couple of things because Shaun addressed her. And
so what did Shaun say in the he said that there's no possible way that this person could have been a patron donor because he didn't have
a couple of years.
Patreon account, for 3 years, because he didn't have a Patreon account for until X amount of time ago, and that was correct. I think that was correct what you said, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, that's what.
Like, because there couldn't have been he didn't have a Patreon account for as long as Amber had said she'd been donating for, but she clarified in it and completely and utterly. Okay, I misspoke. What did she say? She misspoke. She's been a Patreon donor for a year or something, or is it a year and a half or something, and a PayPal donor for 2 years. So she's got all the receipts.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
And we did get her permission to discuss this. So I spoke with Amber for about 45 minutes on Thursday, and a long, excellent conversation. But she unfortunately had a lot of commitments this weekend, so she could not make this podcast. So I didn't want to talk about her, and then without her permission. So I reached out to her, and she gave me complete permission to talk about these things. So she wanted to clarify the whole thing. She sent me an email, and she said that she had to check her bank records, because when she was on my live stream, she didn't have any of this stuff out in front of her.
Exactly, yeah.
She just called in and spoke with me. So, I mean, it's perfectly, that's a perfectly reasonable excuse as to now being able to remember everything 100%. So she has clarified. She said she was a PayPal donor for about 2 years, and a Patreon subscriber for 13 months. So that
a combined total of 3 years then.
Yeah, it's still a combined total of 3 years. And then she said it was nothing. She wasn't a huge donor. It was nothing. It was just an average monthly gift of support, which wasn't even on her radar. It wasn't a big deal for her. It was just her helping Shaun out. So there you go, the clarification. Shaun tries to act like he just completely debunks this. Yeah. And having Amber break it down in detail, that's not debunked at all. It actually confirms what she had said. And for him to even touch on it on the True or the Fake Geordie podcast, it must have been a big fucking deal, and it was definitely on his radar. And so that he felt he had to address Amber Huxley. And so
he did. And they've got their own issues between, Amber Huxley did a petition today, and some people have asked me what I think of it. She did a video today, and she's set up a petition to take Shaun Attwood off YouTube. Now that's her own opinion and desire, and she's used my most recent video as an explanation for people that want to see what Shaun's done. And I think it's absolutely fine if she wants to set up a petition. I mean, it's not my own personal choice of action to take, because personally I don't think going off YouTube is something I want to do. I want to keep it all in the YouTube realm myself, and I don't want Shaun Attwood's channel to be taken down personally either. It's not something that I've thought about in that that far ahead. But she's absolutely entitled to set up a petition. She's absolutely entitled to link to my video. I can't stop people linking to my video in any way they want, and I still think Amber Huxley is cool. She can absolutely set up a petition if she wants. That's her own decision. But yeah, I had some people asking me about that. I don't mind. I can't prevent people linking in any way they want. The video is only as part of it, simply to provide information to people. So all good in my book.
Well, and then touching back on Amber Huxley, during our 45-minute conversation, she brought up to me that after our live stream, her dad was getting harassed by Shaun. So during our live stream, again, go ahead and listen to it. She did mention that, her dad knows Shaun in some kind of business capacity. I can't remember exactly what. But Shaun, after our live stream, straight up reached, and this would fit in with the pattern, whether it was Jimmy Harris or any other person. As soon as they speak out against Shaun, they receive harassment emails or texts, whatever, from Shaun.
Darren G, James English, Billy Moore, they've all been at the receiving end of this. Amber Huxley, he's contacting Jimmy Harris, as you say, but contacting Amber Huxley's father is absolutely ridiculous. Amber Huxley is an adult, and if you've got anything to say to Amber Huxley about Amber Huxley, you speak to Amber Huxley directly. You don't go and speaking to her dad about it. Absolutely ridiculous behaviour. He's obviously trying to go for the jugular. That's the thing. He tries to just go for, like, how can I scare these people? How can I scare... He doesn't do that to Darren G, James English or Billy Moore, because he knows he's not going to scare them, so he uses sneakier tactics with them, smear campaigns using sock accounts, etc. But with Amber Huxley, he tries and speaks to her, goes and speaks to her dad. It's ridiculous.
It's a fucking joke, man. And it just, again, it falls in line with the pattern that we've noticed. It's just a continuous pattern of bullshit with this guy.
Well, that is harassment as well. I mean, that probably legally comes under harassment. It's completely outrageous. You don't go and speak to somebody's dad about what is technically business-related issues. You've got problems on YouTube with someone on YouTube. That's a business issue. No. You don't go speaking to their family member, Yeah,
100%. And Amber did allow me to talk about this. So, again, these are things that I had permission to talk to by our dearest Amber. I'll put her link to her channel on the description as well. But, just thought it was an important piece because, again, Shaun was using some cryptic stuff. And so if you aren't in tune with a lot of these things, it might have gone over your head. So that 2 hour and 7 mark is the Amber Huxley live stream she did with me. So I thought that was important to bring up. And then let's see. Shaun brought up about PM, brought her up as someone that was obsessed with destroying his butthole. All right. To not mince any words, just continuously obsessed. And it just seems like he is obsessed with talking about his butthole getting destroyed. Like I mentioned before, it's just whether it's on the fake Geordie or on the Brian Rose episode. It's, again, he just can't help himself from being stupid, man.
And this is why he also brings it up on, or used to anyway, when he was talking to all the sort of like ex-gangsters, former criminals, etc., people that have been in prison. He'll bring up how was the rape situation in prison and stuff like that, and it gives it such a new context when you know that he is now, he loved being with his woman who was called the arse rapist, supposedly, according to him. That's something that he gets off on. So he's literally asking people these questions because he gets off on it. Billy Moore explicitly said this in his interview. He said with James English, he said, Shaun Attwood was asking me about prison rape, and I got the impression that I was not comfortable with this line of questioning and the way it was being asked. Billy Moore obviously knew that he could sense that Shaun Attwood was getting off on it. That's why he's asking. And this just proves that Shaun Attwood 100% is getting off on it. At least to me it does anyway, because it's something that he has a personal enjoyment of. He indulges in it.
Yeah, well, and it ties in with the whole Callie interview, if you really think about it, because he has no problem talking about it himself. So he obviously had no problem with Callie saying the stuff she had to say on my podcast interview. It all ties in perfectly.
It's so weird, though, like using Wildman's tribute to talk about it and go on for so long about it.
Who does that?
He was on about like milking the anal G-spot and stuff like that. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I said in my video that it was putting some people off their food. I was one of them. Yeah. I was actually sitting with a friend having some food. We were watching the True Geordie video. We were both absolutely ripping into Shaun Attwood, and then I was like, look, we're going to.
And then he started talking about getting ripped.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, or slowly stretched.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's so pathetic. And it watching that just kind of confirmed that this dude has issues, man. He is not normal by any means. Because no normal person
He's definitely not.
And I guess one of the sickening things is on the fake Geordie comments, it was a different narrative than the Marvin Herbert comments. It was all supportive. Yeah, Shaun, I've got you. Yeah, man, I'm with you all the way, brother. The forces of evil.
it's the Wild Man tribute. People are like, oh man, I love it. You know, they're only listening to the first 10 minutes, which actually were inappropriate in themselves. The first 10 minutes he was talking about how Wild Man's legs were leaking and stuff like that, and fluid was coming out. Why would you go into the details, the graphic details of the symptoms of someone's illness in that kind of way on a tribute to them? You know, it's like he's talking about that sort of like graphic detail. It just, again, it shows a lack of empathy, in my opinion. Which is what Booty Master said on the stream last night. So shout out to Booty Master for coming on and actually giving his honest opinion and sticking to his morals, in the sense that Booty Master actually changed his mind. I thought that was quite interesting. That it was quite funny hearing Booty Master say that Shaun Attwood's got no empathy, you know, and it was good that he's actually changed his mind about things as well.
Yeah, for sure. The live stream that I did last night I wasn't sure what I was gonna do, and then I did get in touch with Booty Master during the week, and I had seen his tune change for the last couple of weeks, where I was like, oh shit, yeah, he's actually commending our material now.
A few weeks now, he's been just putting on like joke comments and stuff like that. Obviously, watching content and just joining in the conversation. He's not really talking. You know, he stopped defending Shaun Attwood quite a long time ago, from what I could see, anyway. Yeah,
the Booty Master has come home to roost. Yeah,
he changed his mind a bit slower than we changed our mind, but he's just the same as us.
He's very analytical. Yeah, he's a critical thinker. So I'll give him that. You know, he's not a dumb guy. He's very intelligent, and you know, he just thought a lot of this stuff was too conspiratorial leaning, and there wasn't a lot of substance to what we had. But
his empathy was for Callie as well. You know, his empathy was focused towards Callie. So it's like, I'm defending Shaun Attwood because I've got I know what these girls are like, and blah blah blah. So.
Yeah, for sure. No, and it was awesome to open up the phone lines to the hardcore subs. You know, we had a variety of people calling in, and
I heard Lady P.
Lady P absolutely killed it, man.
She did.
She killed
Sean.
She didn't kill it once.
That night. And so did Callie.
She didn't kill it once, dude. She killed it twice because she called in again.
I didn't hear the second one.
Yeah, she called in, and man, just Lady P, and these people we're going to talk about them because we know they subscribe to the DaddyGate podcast, because these are the hardcore of the hardcore. So I have no problem in shouting them out right now. Lady P comes in, and I think the timestamp is in one of the videos. I actually pinned the comment, so if you wanted to hear Lady P in action, by all means, check her out. And she minced no words, man. I put down the microphone. I'm like, go ahead, man. Go to town. So big shout out to Lady P. Twix Afin jumped in from South Africa. Awesome person as well, you know. And
I heard Twix. Twix is cool. I thought Twix was in Australia, South Africa. Okay, cool.
And what about Stephen McAleese?
Stephen McAleese, yes. It was good to hear Stephen McAleese coming on as well. I caught him.
The freaking pothead. We also had Joel's come on. Joel's with a soul.
I heard Joel's as well, yeah.
Yeah, she came on. Who am I missing? We did have Bob. Bob.
That was the only people I heard.
Yeah, Bob came in. Who else did we have? I'm trying to remember. We had A1000. Interesting. And we had Justice 1111. Sorry, if I missed anyone, it was not on purpose. I want to give a shout out to everyone. You guys are the hardcore of the hardcore, so thank y'all for joining in. I definitely want to do that again, man. That was
definitely.
Fun.
You should do that. You should make that a regular thing, dude, because like it's so good to hear like the voices from around the country and around the world who are on the same kind of page as us, you know. It's great just putting a voice to the subscribers and realizing that they're real people, you know.
Yeah, and that goes back to the point, you know, if you're just tuning into the DaddyGate podcast, this is our joint channel. We do have channels outside of here. My channel is the What Is Truth podcast, and my channel kind of sways into the direction of I enjoy doing these live streams. I'm getting pretty well known for these live streams. They're a lot of fun. I do every now and then get these guests where the live streams focus on the guests themselves. But sometimes I will open up the phone lines. So make sure you find my channel on the description and go ahead and subscribe if that's your thing. Chancer, what's your channel about?
My channel is Chancer. Used to be called Chancer Media, but Chancer became the name quite quickly. So if you just go to youtube.com/Chancer, it's a bit of a mix. Like, I definitely cover the DaddyGate stuff quite heavily, and that's how I started doing the DaddyGate stuff. And I kind of just look a little bit. I kind of look at sort of like crime and stuff that's going on around the UK. I think that's kind of where I'm interested in. Like, maybe like just stuff that I see that just looks like complete BS. You know, like politicians that look like they're talking out their ass. It's prison sentences that don't add up, things like that, you know, just stuff that just looks ridiculous to me. So, and I'll try and present it in a way that you maybe would like to sit through for 10 minutes, you know.
No, and your evolution, as I discussed in the very beginning, man, your evolution from your very first video where you're talking to a plant, where you at right now, man. I say that in a loving way too, you know. I don't want to keep bringing up your plants. I'm sure it's a lovely plant.
That was actually the second video. The first video was static, and then I think I gave a lot of people epileptic fits. So.
All right. Well, but I'm saying, you know, from those couple of videos to where you are right now with your latest fake Geordie video that you did, Shaun Attwood on there, the evolution has been amazing to watch, man. Watching your growth and the potential, you know, the sky's the limit. And so I feel privileged to have you as a partner in crime in this new DaddyGate podcast. I
Likewise, dude.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be a fun journey. So if you are tuning in, because the last episode had almost 4,000 views, and yet we still haven't hit the 1,000 subscriber mark. If you haven't, go ahead, hit that little red button and smash that motherfucking subscribe button, goddammit.
Definitely, and hit the notification bell as well, because then you'll get notified of the next episode, which is always good. YouTube, when it turns to new and smaller channels, when it comes to new and smaller channels, YouTube doesn't push them as much, so definitely hitting that notification bell, good idea. And at least then you won't miss an episode, and always good just to follow along. I think the most comments are going to come when things are uploaded straight away, so the comment sections usually get pretty busy on our content, don't they? So it's a good time to get on. But if you're late to the party, then you might miss the juicy conversation at the start. So
well, and remember to share these episodes. If you really enjoy the content, please share them. We haven't really asked, and I don't think we pushed it, but share it. You know, our channels are still small. I mean, people are waking up, and I think we've been instrumental into bigger channels. They have mentioned our little channels, and for Shaun to bring it up on the Fake Geordie podcast, for Marvin to use your thumbnails, and then his podcast being named Nothing But the Truth. I mean, I'm not gonna say nothing else on that, but you know, our little channels are making a difference, and we can only keep making a difference with the help of you guys. You guys need to share them, put them on your Facebooks, tweet them out. Let's spread this information, because the snowball is already on top of the hill, and it's already making its way down. So that's all I'm going to say. Just please help us grow this. More bigger names. You've already mentioned them. Darren G, James English, Billy Moore. These bigger names are talking about it. Yami. They're all saying stuff. So, and it's a large part of it is because of you guys helping our small little channels get the word out. So please don't forget to do that. Definitely
valuable, and there's a lot of momentum naturally. You know, our channels are, and this content, it brings people naturally, because I think it's a good time. But sharing it is so helpful. But we've got that organic growth anyway. If you look at like you say, the last episode 1, I think, like you say, we're almost at 4,000 views now. That's pretty good. When you look at Shaun Attwood's clip channel, and he's got double the subs that we've got on his clip channel as we've got on the DaddyGate podcast channel, some of his videos have 17 views. And they were posted over a month ago. I haven't seen a single video on there that's hit the highest I've seen on any of his. There's one here, 6 views. Tony Gooch on the clip channel, Shaun Attwood clip channel, 6 views. You know, 13 views, 17 views. I'm just looking through it just now, and it's like, you know, this is somebody that supposedly has almost 600,000 subscribers, as he keeps talking about. Shaun Attwood, he's done his clip channel, and the views on it are just insanely low, whereas we're getting almost 4,000 on the first episode of the podcast. So it's an honor that people want to listen to us. It's great. And yeah, sharing. When we say share, we do just mean just share it on social media, basically. But subscribing is the most important thing, following along, commenting, and also just giving your feedback as well. If you've got any points. It's always valuable, the feedback that we get, or certainly I find it valuable anyway, a lot of it.
Yeah, 100%. And when are we going to show our faces?
Show your face. Should have called this the
You
Show
have
Your
no
Face
integrity
podcast.
if you don't show your face. God damn it.
I heard you say that. You made such a good point yesterday. I think I heard somebody said show your face or something like that. I caught a bit of that. And you were like, I've never once asked people to trust me. People can make their own mind up. I'm not out here trying to say that I've got credibility. It's up to people to listen and they can make their own mind up. Yeah. And the people that say show your face, they've never got their face in their avatar.
No, you got one clown that uses what's Peter Mahoney's profile pic.
Oh no.
Wildman pic. Yeah. He's the one on our channel telling us to show our faces or we have no integrity. Are you using Wildman's profile pic?
You're using the face of a recently deceased man who you've never met.
That makes no sense. But I mean, again, we've like I mentioned in the live stream. I've never told anyone you need to trust me. You need to trust me.
Exactly.
I will present my opinions. I will present my thoughts, and you will present your facts, Chancer. And people need to use their critical thinking skills and assess: are we full of bullshit or are we not? And make that your own opinion.
There's the facts, and then there's our opinion on the facts. It's not. People don't have to agree. People disagree, but the facts are the facts. And then whether you agree with my opinion on those facts is a different story. You have your own opinion on the facts. You and me overlap, and sometimes we are sort of diverge when it comes to opinions on the facts now and again. But to say show your face, that's I don't even know what that's about. It's such a I suppose YouTube could be the main place where it's sort of like, oh, I'm used to people being in front of the camera, so maybe it's that, you know,
or
like
maybe they think it's Tinder, you know, like YouTube Tinder.
Well, exactly, yeah.
They want to see our faces, so maybe they need to swipe left or right.
But the majority of people don't have identifiable information out on YouTube. It's not Facebook, you know, where you've got your name and your phone number and your face and all that kind of stuff, your work and all that. If you want that, go to Facebook, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different animal for sure, but I just thought I'd touch on that. I mean,
once we get to 100 million subscribers, then we could do a face reveal.
Oh hell yeah! And then I'm retiring. Yeah, man, it's cool stuff. But yes, well, someone jumped in on the live stream last night, and I put their ass in timeout. First time I had put someone in a 3-second timeout, and I enjoyed it, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Everyone wants to give me shit about it.
Endorphins, mate. You got a boost of endorphins coursing through you.
Dude, it felt good. I'm like, oh damn, that's how you time someone out. Here you go. Don't piss me off, goddamn it, and I'll put you in another goddamn timeout. But it was fun, man. Live stream was fun. I put that in the description. Chancer does the more journalistic approach. He is the voice of reason. I'm just the voice of talking shit. But somehow we get along just fine, and it works out. Yeah,
it's great, man. It's great chatting shit to you, as we say.
All right, my man.
Yeah, cool, dude. You know, I was just going to say this one's a little bit. We recorded this one a little bit earlier in the afternoon, but you know, the nighttime records that we do, or the nighttime live streams that we do, man, that is an awesome time.
Maybe we'll do that next weekend.
We need to do it. So it's like a little party, you know, a little lockdown party.
I have a blast with you, man. When I do live streams,
yeah.
We may have to do a live stream from the DaddyGate podcast.
We could do that, yeah. But what is truth though? That's the place for the live streams though. You know, you build that up, man. Everyone likes a little bit of what is truth on a Saturday, 8 p.m. London lockdown time.
Yeah, man. I didn't. And when I did the channel, I didn't see that coming, and they have evolved into what they are today. We have a great time, and the subscribers are rabid. Everyone's having a party. It's awesome times, and then the unexpected. You can expect the unexpected on those live streams. You can say that, you know, whether it's Shaun popping in, Callie even popped in for a good while, and then Lady P sent her running. So you just never know what you're gonna get, man, and that's what makes the live streams fun. A lot of fun. So again, everyone share this channel. If you are tuning into the Daddy Podcast for the first time, smash that motherfucking subscribe button. Go to my channel, the What Is Truth Podcast. Go to my boy Chancer, the Chancy Poo Media channel. What's your full channel's name, goddamn
it? Just Chancer. YouTube.com/Chancer.
Yeah, just search Chancer and it should pop up.
Yeah, if you search Chancer, it should come up. Yep.
He's got that cute little kitty cat.
that Masonic, full of Masonic symbolism.
Yeah.
And Chancer Media on Twitter as well. So you can go there. You can DM me as well.
All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us on this exquisite day, whenever you may listen to it. Again, we couldn't have done this channel without all your love and support. So your love and support is truly and highly appreciated. Thank you so
100%.
much. All right, y'all. Take it easy.
Cheers, folks.
Peace.